And we are live. Hey guys, so thank you once again for listening in or tuning in to the Vibe Life podcast. I want to appreciate you or let you know that I appreciate you taking the time to listen to today's message, or in this case, today's interview. And with that being said, who we have on today is Berenice Rodriguez. Now, Berenice is actually one of our members here at Vibe in Rialto, and I feel like she has a lot of valuable insight on communicating like the process of transformation, as she's made a transformation in herself, in her health, in her body, in her capabilities. And she did it in a way that I feel is aligned, or I don't feel, I know is aligned with the principles that we advocate at Vibe. And it's something that I've always understood when it came to lifestyle transformation, physical fitness, just a person making a transformation. I always say, for me, I always try to advocate fitness in regard to a long-term play for people. I always say, like, hey, it's easy. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but there's a lot of people out there who can make transformation by doing quick fixes, right? They'll go on quick diets and what have you, and they'll do, the calorie restrictive diets, and then they'll, do a lot of physical activity, and that will yield results. And I'm not knocking that. But what I always understood when it came to a true transformation, I always looked at the long-term play. Like, how can I get this individual to buy in other words, to the principles that aren't as sexy in some cases as, a quick fix, that will yield results, but it'll take a little bit more consistency, a little bit more drawn out process. But what they learn in that process will stick with them. And they will understand like the true process of transformation. And so are able to overcome adversity. And I feel that Berenice is a great example of that. So I asked her if she'd be willing to come on in and share a little bit about that process, where she was at before she got started, and then kind of the struggles, and just kind of, be open and raw about it. And she agreed. And so thank you for doing this, Berenice.
You're welcome.
I keep on wanting to call you Layla because I look at your name, right? But yeah, so her daughter, by the way, is actually she was coming to Vibe before school started back up, and she's an athlete as well. She's a cheerleader, so I kind of see why you're so competitive as well. When I see you in your training, I see that you're getting after it, and you always want to make sure you do things correctly. Even before your training sessions, we see you running outside as well. So you're real consistent, and so again, thank you for you trusting us here at Vibe and for coming on board.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. I'm happy to be
So
here.
thank you again. My apologies for cutting you off. So let's get into it. I'd like to kind of just go back and let's kind of trace the timeline. Like, can you share where you were at before you found Vibe? And what I mean by that is, like, where were you at mentally, health-wise? Like, what were some limitations that you experienced, that you were struggling with, and that you were like, I need to do something? So let's go back to before you started with Vibe. Where were you at?
I was completely overweight and lacking any sort of movements like exercise. I was just not doing anything. I was going from a sit down job, desk job, working long hours, and then coming home and just sitting down. So at that time, I felt like I couldn't do much because my back was hurting. My knees were hurting. So I felt, okay, my body's deteriorating. I need to just rest. And I thought that was the answer, to just continue to sit.
And now, how old were you when you started realizing this? Like, give us that understanding,
40 years old.
which is really young.
Yes.
Would you agree?
And
Yeah.
I guess the aches and pains started when I was maybe 38 and a half.
Mhm.
So at 39, my entire 39 years old, I just started resting more. I called it resting, but I really was just doing nothing because my body started hurting more and more. And I kept eating, gaining weight. The more I ate, the less I did, the more my body ached.
I see. Now, talk to me about your train of thought when it came to, like, the answer is just rest, like not do anything because my back is hurting, my knees are hurting. Oh, this just must be the way it is. Like, give me your train of thought. Where did that maybe thinking process come from that you feel?
Well, you have friends and families, and you tell them like, "Oh, this is hurting." They're like, "Oh, yeah, you need to take care of yourself. You probably just need to rest." And mind you, these are all family and friends members that are also overweight, and so not one of them told me maybe you need to be more active. It was more like, oh, take care of yourself, take some painkiller pills, and just relax. Like that was the answer, to not overexert myself so that I didn't feel the pain.
Got you. And so as you're kind of experiencing, starting to feel these aches and pains that you didn't feel before. So let's say 38 and a half, you kind of let it, fluster and grow and build up to, where you got to 40 or maybe 39. And you said, hey, like what moment did you have where you realized like, you know what? No, I need to do something different, because whatever I'm doing right now, resting or taking these pain reducing medicines, like that's not working. And I don't like the way I feel. What moment did you have where you realized I need to do something different?
My children. I have a young adult son and a teenage daughter, and I see them very active, and they love going out and do things. And when I started having restrictions at only 39, where I couldn't go out and do things with them, or, oh, well, mom's not going to be able to do that, so we'll have to do this instead. I said, you know what? No, I'm 39. That's not old. I'm looking around, and I should not be using my age as an excuse as to why my body's aching, and then not be able to do some activities with my kids. That's where I thought, no, I need to do something different. Resting is not making the aches go away, and it's just gaining more body weight on my.
Mm, got you. Now, when you made that decision to start doing something, did you try, what were you doing like on your own? Did you do something on your own? Did you turn to the gym? Did you hire a coach? And I'm not even referring to Vibe, but just what did you do before you got to the next phase in this process?
No, I wasn't doing anything, and when I found Vive, it's because I knew I had already tempted everything else. So I did sign up to one of those mainstream or big gyms. I don't know what you want to call them. And going in there, um, I just felt like I wasn't getting the workout that I needed to do. And I was easily put off because if I was doing something and that would hurt, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm done for the day. Let me go home. And then I go to the gym one day and rest 5.
So it was like a lack of consistency and accountability to show up on, whether it was, 3 times a week or 4 times a week or whatever it was going to be. It was just once a week, 5-day rest, come back and try again.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, after so many days of rest, trying to go back into the gym, it's going to hurt again. So I was on that cycle where, or I would try running and then my knee would hurt. And I love outdoor running. I used to run years ago. So that was my thing. And not being able to run, it it was kind of also heartbreaking and disappointing. And it was like, well, I'm not going to be able to do anything anymore if I can't go out and run. That's it. Like I need to understand that my body's broken now, and it is what it is at this point. And so I was kind of telling myself that and convincing myself that I was done for.
So you almost accepted like, hey, this is just what's going to happen. I'm gonna get into my 40s, get into my later years, and then I'm gonna kind of deteriorate, and it's just part of life. That's kind of what you were accepting.
Yes, that's what I thought. I mean, early 30s, I'm running long miles. Not really a sprinter ever, just a jog, but it was like long miles at a time. And then when my body started deteriorating, because I stopped. So I stopped running, um, because I guess life, it just got busy at one point. Life got busy at one point, and I stopped doing what I was doing. And that's when my body started deteriorating. And yes, you're right. I felt like, well, I am getting older. Maybe that's just the transition of what's happening. I mean, I've never been 38 before or 39 before, and it feels a lot different than 25. So maybe this is just what's happening.
Got you. And so like you started, like for me, I'm listening to this and I could just think about like the mental frustration that was created in your life as far as like, man, I my kids have to kind of modify their, you know, the activities for me, or we can't do this, or I feel like I'm holding them back. Maybe you had some of that. And then kind of thinking, man, I can't do the things I enjoy doing outdoors. I used to like to enjoy running. I can't get that experience anymore. So mentally, this stuff's starting to drain on you. But then you make a decision to say, you know what, I'm going to try something else because, you know, this one day of going to the regular gym isn't working. And then, you know, it's just not getting better. I need to do something. And then you kind of progress and you look for something different. And then you're saying, hey, I need maybe something like what we do or what they're doing over there in Rialto. Talk to me about what made you kind of reach out to our way and kind of how did you get connected with us?
Because I've done what you mentioned at the beginning. I've done that whole, I need to lose weight for this special event. It's, I'm going on vacation, or it's someone's wedding, or it's someone's birthday party. Um, and I did those fast, easy diets that, yeah, you lose all this weight. Most of it is body, water. And so that's when I would work out. And then as soon as I accomplished or set that goal, after starving myself, I would stop. So this time around, with all the weight that I had gained and my body aching, I knew I needed to do something different. And those other gyms were not working for me because I didn't have accountability. Because if I showed up or didn't show up, it was nobody else cared. So nobody else was there. When I found Vive and came across you guys through a friend, and then I checked you guys out on social media, and I signed up for the one complimentary class. After seeing that class, I knew that this is where I wanted to be, because this time around, I knew I wanted a lifestyle change. I didn't want to lose weight because of a special event. I didn't have anything coming up. No, I wanted long term. I did want to lose weight, but on top of that, I also wanted to get healthier. I just been to the doctor and got some test results back that were not pretty. And in a sense, I was kind of shocked because I'm like, okay, yes, I'm overweight, but I'm not like, you know, 600-pound life or something like that. But no, my health was deteriorating along with my body. And I thought, well, let me try Vive out, because while I'm feeling that I can't do this and I can't do that, I'm just telling myself this, let me check it out and see what I can do, as opposed to focusing all my attention on the things that I couldn't do anymore.
Mhm. And you know, I recall, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but well, one thing is for certain. I remember you when we first met. It was the outdoor workout that you were trying out. I think was the first time. I believe so. And then you had mentioned that, hey, I have some limitations on my, you know, I can't do X, Y, and Z, whatever it was. Something with your knee. I think it was lunges that we were doing or something like that. And I said, hey, no problem. We're gonna do this instead. Um, I definitely remember you didn't have full range of motion of that because at a certain point you would start feeling that ache. Understood that. But I think, and this is where you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think you had actually came for your daughter and you said, hey, I'm here. If again, we're here to try it out, but I'm more here for her. I think it was something along those lines, right? Let me ask you, was that kind of like a barrier to kind of say, okay, in case we don't move forward, it's because, you know, if my daughter doesn't want to move forward, was that kind of like a safety filter that you put in place?
I was using her as my crutch. Yes, and the reason we did the outdoor class is because, like I said, I wanted to do the outdoorsy, and I
Mm.
needed her for support. And she was trying to get ready for her cheers season. So they'd been out due to the pandemic, and she knew that soon enough they were going to start their season again. So she's like, "Mom, I need to get active again. I need to, do something." So I said, okay, fine. I found this. Let's go check it out. She was very excited to do it. And yes, she started giving me the support that I needed, and for her to be able to go with me and do this. And you're right. At first, I did tell you, I said, I'm not going to be able to do this because of my knee. And I'm not going to be able to run because of my knee and my back. So you told me I could walk, and I did some modifications on the rest of the exercises. And at the end of that workout, I was like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that we always tell people is, especially with how we train here at Vibe, like we're not selling you a workout like based on how hard things are. Like I think anybody can do that, right? Anybody can get a hard workout. So my message is consistent. It's like, hey, we're not here to make you feel like you got hit by a bus, or that we're not here to injure you. We want you to get better. Like, we understand you are here because there's something that you want to change in yourself, whether it be your health, your body, your capabilities, whatever it is. And so really our job is to understand the individual and say, hey, what is his or her limitation, but how can we best serve this person so that they can come back the next day? And in your perfect example, again, because you were able to come back and you were able to build, and the process was slow, and maybe there was frustrations going on, but that's part of the process. So can you kind of talk to me a little bit about maybe some of the, you made that decision to show up, you liked it, we know you, we moved forward from that point, and then you continued. So can you kind of talk to me about like the barriers, like the frustrations that you experienced when you first started committing consistent effort to your training, to your health, to your transformation?
Some of the barriers were just not being in my head. So allowing myself to be able to keep working out and trying the classes that I signed up for, and not setting the limitations to myself. Because sometimes we do set limitations on ourselves. We tell ourselves, I can't do that. So when I would say that out loud, and the coaches at Vi would hear me, you guys would cheer me on and say, "No, you can, maybe just this way or that way. Give it a shot, give it a try." Some of the other frustrations were not seeing the scale move. I'm working out, I'm consistently coming in. I had already started making some changes in my nutrition, and the scale is slowly moving and can be very disappointing and heartbreaking, and almost like, well, what am I doing here? Or what am I doing wrong? I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but I must be doing something wrong. And then you share this with someone else, a family member, and they're like, yeah, you're doing something wrong because you're not losing pounds. And I'm like, but I feel different and I feel better. And my clothes is starting to feel different. So I must be doing something right. But those are kind of the setbacks and frustrations that you're like, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe this is not working out as well as I thought. Or why am I even trying? You know, I did have a breakdown one day where I felt like I was very frustrating. I was like, I feel like this is not working. But I was in my own head because people around me were already noticing my difference. They were already noticing a change. They were telling me, "Hey, you're losing weight. Hey, you're looking better." Or like muscles. I was building some muscles in my body and they could see the tone. Originally, that was what I wanted to do, is accomplish, was like, build some tone and muscles. So focusing on that scale was a tough reality that I needed to break out of.
Mm.
And I'm no longer focusing on that.
Now, can we kind of stay in that area for a second here, because I feel, and working with predominantly women in our facility here, and for so many years at this point for me, it's always been a battle for me to get women to understand, like, hey, the type of training that we do, and then you cope that in with improved nutrition. The scale is not always going to be the factor that defines your success. Like, can you kind of help me understand from a woman's perspective, like, why do you feel women kind of get stuck just on the number on the scale? Like, help me understand that, and maybe share a little bit with people that are listening, like your thoughts on that.
I guess the scale is a source of success. Like, if you're dropping pounds left and right, then you're succeeding. If you're not, you're doing something wrong. Because primarily, like, everyone's going around asking you, "Oh, well, how much do you weigh?" Or "How much weight do you want to lose?" So the main focus a lot of the times is pounds, losing pounds. And if you're at a certain pounds, like, I mean, I don't know, I guess depends on your bodybuilder or whatnot, but if you weigh so much and you tell people, "Oh, this is how much I weigh," well, you scare people away with certain numbers. But you have to look at your body and what you're supposed to weight. I don't know, I guess it really is society. Society has put so much importance on your weight.
Right. And I totally agree with you on that 1000%. I mean, I can tell you, I'm in the fitness industry and I can tell you this much. And I always try to be transparent with our members, especially our members, because it's my job in essentially, and not just my job, but our team's job of coaches. It's our job to protect our members, right? We filter the BS and we try to tell people like, hey, the reason why you're so stuck on the number of how much pounds you're gonna lose is because that's all that we've been taught from the time we were young. It's always weight loss products. Try this. This is going to help you lose weight, whether it's putting vinegar in your water or apple cider in your water, whatever it is that they do. Try this diet. It help everything. And why? Because emotionally, that's what triggers people. People want to lose weight. Why? Because it's been a definition of success for
Mhm.
so many people. And so that's almost like a marketing play for a lot of companies with products and services. Now, am I knocking that? Am I saying that you shouldn't want to lose weight? No, I'm not saying that. But if you base your success strictly on, hey, the scale only went down 1 pound, like you just you set yourself up for failure because you're basing it, you're not looking at the progress you have made. Like in your case, you started because, hey, I have limitations that I don't like having when I'm with my family. Like I want to have a better quality of life. So you were going through and you were improving, right? You were getting stronger, you're getting more capable. You maybe didn't feel as weak or have certain aches and pains, but, and I'm not saying specifically just you, but maybe there was a point in that journey where you got stuck just on the scale, but you failed to realize like, hey, you know what? I don't feel that pain no more. Like that's a success point. And so I wanted to ask you that question because again, I know a lot of people always base success or on, hey, I've only lost X amount of pounds or I haven't lost any weight, but my clothes feel better. But they ignore the fact of how they're feeling and how much more capable they are. And they don't embrace that, and instead they just say I'm not succeeding because the number on the scale hasn't moved. So I thank you for sharing that. I think that's important for everyone listening to understand that, you know, hey, no matter where you're at right now in your journey, if you're trying to lose weight, it's a process. There's a lot of ups and downs, and so that's why I wanted Bernice to share that. So now let's kind of talk about, you know, you went through that mental barrier and you started realizing though, like, hey, I'm feeling better though. I feel stronger. I'm getting more muscle in my body and I'm starting to, you know, feel more confident maybe in my ability. And just overall, I put a different energy out. As you broke that mental barrier, what made you, in other words, trust the process and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to get so stuck on that. I'm going to just completely trust what I'm doing, be consistent. What allowed you, or what did you do or decide, I'm sorry, to do in order to just get past that barrier?
After I had that mental breakdown of not seeing much of change on the scale, which I mean, I was losing pounds, just probably not the amount of excess pounds that I wanted to lose. I was losing pounds, but I was feeling way better. I mean, that was the number one thing at first that I noticed was I feel much better. I'm able to do some things that I used to not be able to do. I'm getting up and out of bed or up and out of a chair without feeling some sort of way. So that's where I had to talk to myself and just let myself know, you know what? Whatever that scale says, look at everything else that you've accomplished. And then I made it back into the doctors and I got back some test results and I had such great test results back. I was so happy with myself. So my health had improved so much that I thought, you know what I'm doing is working and I'm feeling better. So I'm going to keep doing this. And now I'm going to keep pushing myself to do a little bit more because this is a good feeling. I mean, not complaining about my knee and be able to run again. I love it. I'm happy. I'm happy with what my body is able to do now. And I also feel that with me having done this, and with my body being able to do what I want, then I'll be able to reach that next goal.
Nice. I like that a lot, actually. I love hearing that. And you know, let's kind of talk a little bit about, like, align with trusting the process, like your understanding of where, when it came to, let's first tackle fitness. Like, were you in the mindset of, hey, I need to always be taxing my body? Because I know a lot of times people come into, you know, our facility at Vibe, and, you know, the workouts aren't always intense. You know, when we're lifting weights, it's a little bit slower in nature. You know, and we do work hard, but we also work efficiently. Can you talk a little bit about, like, trusting the process when it came to the fitness aspect of this? You know, were you used to just always high intensity type stuff? Were you in the mindset of like, hey, more is always better? Did you have an understanding on that?
That's one thing that I learned and that I feel like I'm gonna be able to take with me for the rest of my life to make this a lifetime long journey, that I need to balance. I was of the mindset that cardio was everything. Cardio was life. And if you needed to lose weight, you needed to do some cardio. But I also wanted to tone my body. And you know, most people say, "Oh, I want to be more toned," but they don't want to do what it requires to do that, and which is strength training, weight training. And that's one thing that I did not know before I started at Vive, and I've learned now, and I love it. Balancing between your weight training and doing some cardio or some, um, what's the word? I can't think of it. Conditioning.
Yep.
It's important. It's way important. And now I'm passing that down to my son because he's constantly hitting the gym, but he's always lifting weights. And then he's like, you know, I'm trying to tone down on my weight or whatnot. And I'm like, well, you're not doing conditioning. You're not doing cardio. It's not one or the other. It's you have to do both.
Yeah. And so with that being said, like, let's talk about when it came to the strength training. Because I do recall when you first started, you were like, hey, I'm gonna come to the Saturday session, and what's strong? And I'm like, oh yeah, you'll be okay. Just come on in. And so you know, we had you carrying the heavy balls, the sand balls. We had you doing the heavy farmer carries. And I know that taxed you, because I remember you were like, man, I was sore the next day. Your understanding of strength training, let's just say strength training. You know, what was your understanding of it before you started at Vibe? Like, was it the, hey, I 10-pound dumbbells all the time, pink weights all the time? Like, was that your understanding? I'm not knocking that if you do that out there, by the way. I just wanted to kind of get a little bit deeper into when it comes to understanding strength training.
Well, I thought I'm a girl. There's no way that I need to be lifting anything heavier than like 15-pound dumbbells or trying to lift those heavy medicine balls or do over 115 pounds on the bar or whatever else that we were doing that day, that I was in shock. I walked into that class that was all about strength training saying, I can't do that. And I'm definitely not gonna be able to do that. And there's no way I'm gonna be able to do that next workout. Like I'm just looking and already I felt I'm weak. I can't do that. You know, there's no way. And then I thought, and why do I need to lift so much weight? You know, but now I understand because of my end goal or future goals, what I want, strength training is very important and pushing yourself a little bit more to be able to eventually, because I started off doing the 10-pound dumbbells. If now those are too light for me. There's no way. And I enjoy the heavier weights now. I like what it does to my body. So yeah, that day it was pretty crazy, pretty intense. But walking out of there after I did what I thought I couldn't do, it was one of the most rewarding things I've ever had. I mean, I went home and I shared it with my husband and I'm like, dude, you wouldn't believe what I did, what I lifted. It was it was an accomplishment.
You know, see, so you basically hardened your mindset in that process. You discovered something new about yourself, right? I mean, is that safe to say? Yeah.
Definitely. I discovered that I could do more.
I like that. And guys, you guys listen to this. I want you to understand, we're not advocating that, hey, if, Bernice has to lift 300 pounds on her back. That's not what we're saying. As a matter of fact, if that wasn't her objective, we would never push her to that. But if somebody comes in and says, or if you're saying to yourself, hey, I want to build muscle, or ladies use the word tone, which is fine. What you're really saying is, I need to put more muscle on my body. So you need to understand how that happens or how that works. And just like Bernice said, at one point, the 10-pound dumbbells were sufficient for her, and we were okay with that. But when you take the time to understand your people that you're working with, and you say, hey, you tell me you want a little bit more in your body as far as muscle, so this is how you're going to do it. Your body's adapted to this. It's time to change it up and push it a little bit more. So I want you to understand, guys, is that I'm not saying that, we're pushing people to the point where asking them to do things that they don't want to do. It's all aligned with what they want. Our job as coaches and people that care is to help them understand why they're doing what they're doing, and then help them get to the end result of what they want to achieve. In this case, Bernice she enjoyed what the resistance was doing to her body. So again, I just want to make sure you guys are clear for that, because, I know there's a lot of stuff out there as well, where, people again base success on weight training based on how much you're lifting. And that's not always the case. Okay, guys. So,
I want to add something to that,
yeah.
though, is that it not only did it help me know that, I can lift more and do a little bit more, but it was also a mental breakthrough that I didn't need to keep telling myself, you can't do that. I had to now start saying, let me give it a shot.
Let's see. So there was only so much that like us coaches could say, like, hey, just trust it. Like we know you're listening to us, but it takes the individual, right, to kind of buy into it, and you experience it through maybe overcoming adversity. In this case, in the form of some heavier resistance, you were able to achieve that, and then you broke that mental barrier, right? That's basically what
Yes.
happened.
Yes.
Yeah. So that goes back, guys, to, hey, it doesn't matter how bad we want it for you or your coach wants it for you. If you're not willing to kind of push yourself to the limit based on your capability, then you're not going to be able to unlock mentally that next level for you. So just kind of understand what Bernice just shared. That's really important for you guys to understand that, no matter where you're at right now or where you will be in the future. So we tackle the fitness aspect of it. We know you buy into it. We know you're consistent with it. So let's talk a little bit, just touch a little bit on the nutrition aspect of it, which is also a big part in this lifestyle transformation, healthier, improving. So let's kind of give some substance around, where were you at when it came to nutrition, like your understanding of nutrition before Vibe, and maybe when you even first started Vibe?
Um, if you want to lose weight, you need to eat salads all the time. Stay away from all the carbs, and buy all the products that say low fat, sugar free, non fat, and that's that.
Mm. So that was your understand before you started like dialing in and kind of learning more about nutrition?
Yes.
Got you. And let me ask you this, and let's say when you were on that type of regimen, like how long would you be on it for before you're like, okay, I gotta do something different. I can't take this no more.
I think I did the low carb diet, or the what Atkins diet, at one point, and I think I lasted about 6 weeks. After that, there was just like there's no way. This is not a lifestyle I can continue. There's no way. And buying all the other products that just promote themselves as being low fat or sugar free or non fat or baked and all that stuff, they weren't really helping me lose weight. But a lot of the times, I also felt that it was not beneficial to my body, so not very nutrition.
I see what you're saying. So let's say after that 6 weeks of you following whatever diet you're on, what would happen after you went back to a normal, just like based on your lifestyle at that time? What would happen like after you went back to normal eating?
Oh, well, my normal eating was be to go back to eating whatever I wanted, because I'd been deprived and felt deprived for that period of time, and I gained all the way back up.
Mhm. And how did that make you feel when you realized, like, man, I'm back to where I started before the diet?
Uh, it was kind of like, oh, well, eventually, if I need to lose weight again, I know how to do it. I know that I can do it. So it was this whole yo-yo effect.
Got
If
you.
and when I want to lose weight again, then I just need to, be restrictive on my diet again, and I'll lose the weight. And then after that, once I accomplish that goal and I for whatever event in the life that I was going to attend, then after that, then I can just go back to eat whatever I want again. And mind you, there was no working out. There was no working out. There was just diets because I felt like, oh, if you just diet alone, that's sufficient enough. I don't need to work out.
And let me ask you this. This is more personal, like intriguing on my end. Like capability wise, how did you feel? Did you feel like still low energy? Did you feel weak? I mean, talk to me about that.
Well, yeah, not very energetic. And I think that's probably why I wasn't working out because I mean, now that I know what was happening back then, I wasn't having the fuel that I needed. So it was just deprive your body of food and there's no energy. So that's why I didn't work out.
Got you, understood. Okay, so then that's kind of the beginning of your understanding of when it came to healthy nutrition. Let's talk a little bit about like as you integrated into Vibe and you were kind of still maybe going through a little bit of that, not sure. But when you finally said, hey, what do you guys do for nutrition? How do you guys coach it up? How do you guys teach? Can you kind of touch a little bit on when you decided to get with Joss and kind of say, hey, what can you help me with and understand?
Yes, well, I follow you guys on social media, so I would always see the recipes for different stuff, and I tried several of those things, and I really liked them, and I really enjoyed them. So after that, I mean, I was working out really hard and pushing my body, so I thought, you know what, I need to do something on top of that, than more than the physical for my body. So I started paying attention to what I was actually eating, not just, oh, at the end of the day, oh, I don't think I really ate that much, but actually taking note of what I was consuming, looking at the labels of the products that I was buying. So when I started making those changes, I started seeing more a faster change in my body and I started feeling better, way better. And so I thought, you know what, nutrition is very important. And that's when I signed up for the Simply Healthy membership and I started trying a lot of those recipes. My family started enjoying them. And so I felt, you know what? This is really good. I was really enjoying the nutrition for my body. And then that's when I signed up for the one on one because the more I learned about nutrition, the more I felt I needed. I was gravitating towards that. I'm like, my body feels good. I'm working out. I'm giving the nutrition to my body that I need. So I just wanted more knowledge.
Got you. And so basically, can you touch a little bit on like what are some of the maybe some things that you discovered or you learned, you know, when it came to nutrition and getting that guidance from Jocelyn and just in general as well here at Vibe, like what did you learn about nutrition that you maybe kind of basically that was a myth at one time for you, but then you realize like, oh my God, like this is a better way to do it. Like what were some of those kind of takeaways?
Well, the biggest thing was my sugar consumption. I had no idea how much sugar I was consuming before because I thought I'm buying sugar-free stuff this, sugar-free stuff that, or I'm not eating candy. I'm not having a piece of chocolate every single day. But no, you'd be surprised of how much sugar some of your food items have. And I'm a coffee drinker. So I'm having my coffee with coffee creamer every single day. And that coffee creamer is out the door now because it had so much sugar, but I'm still continuing to enjoy my coffee now without having all that sugar added into my body now. So that was the biggest thing, the sugar. Um, when I started logging in what I was eating and I noticed the big change of the decrease of sugar that I was doing, I mean, I was proud of myself. But the second one is carbs. They're not my enemies. And just about everything, there's so many food items they all have carbs. So you just have to know to balance the carbs, know to balance the proteins, know to balance the fats. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned. And as you do it, and I've been doing it every single day, it's just becoming more kind of a second nature. It's easier. At first, it is tough and it's kind of overwhelming because you think, well, I need to continuously keep track of this and keep track of that. Yeah, but once you get it down, it's visually, like, you can see it. So understanding the balance of those things, the proteins, fats, carbs, reducing my sugar, that's one of the things that I've learned from Jocelyn, from the nutrition program and the plan, and just being in Vive and seeing all the recipes that you guys are constantly posting.
Now, let me ask
Balance
you
is key.
this. Yeah, yeah, those are like those. I think the sugar one for sure, hands down, is I always tell people like, dude, if you can just start with reducing your sugar intake, you're gonna feel so much better. Your skin's gonna get clearer. I mean, there's just so many things, and you replace it with water as much as possible with those sugary drinks. I mean, that's a big one for us. And then again, like with what you said, learning like there is different ways to fuel your body in a more healthy, tasteful manner, not just using salads all the time. That gets stale, gets boring. Can I ask you this? Like, what was your thought maybe before you started working with Jocelyn or kind of adhering to the nutrition that we advocate and coach up here at Vibe? What were you thinking before? Like, were you like, hey, they're just going to give me another meal plan that's calorie restricted? Is that kind of, did you have that thought at least or anything like that?
No, I think it's because I had already seen enough where, um, I mean, honestly, I don't know what I was expecting from the meal plan when I first got it, but I was surprised at the amount of variety of foods that were available. I was very happy with it, but I was surprised. I'm like, damn, I can eat all this. Fish tacos? It's
Yeah,
my
right.
favorite. It's just the way you
Yeah,
cook it. It's different, you know?
right.
It's all
Yeah,
about what you're adding to your food.
yeah, no, and you know, to be transparent with you, when you know, when we before we really added more structure to our nutrition program, um, you know, before then, you know, we were always advocating and teaching like, hey, you can still eat healthy and it can still taste, you can have a social life, in other words, right? You can enjoy some of your favorite foods and the culture, you know, in our culture, that's how we show love. That's how we connect, through food, through interaction, through family time. You know, so how do you support somebody, or how do you teach somebody to still to you know, eat and enjoy the moment, but not feel like they're restricted, in your words, like you mentioned, so that, you know, they can still have a life. And I think that has always been one of the principles of Vibe, is again teaching people the lifestyle of a trend, like the healthier lifestyle. And so to my next point is, you know, when we were looking at adding more structure to our nutrition program, we said, hey, we looked at, you know, what certifications do we want to bring in here, what type of a structure is aligned with ours. It wasn't just, hey, let's go with this company, or hey, let's learn from this coach because, you know, they teach people how to lose weight. Like, no, we wanted to align ourselves with an organization and certifications and the right people that were aligned with our principles when it came to supporting people and making them, or support them with that transformation they want to make. And so, you know, I can tell you that I'm proud to hear that, because number one, I know that it's helped you. Number two, because I know that the dedication that Jocelyn has and our coaches have to helping people is real, and that everything that we've done, even though it's a lot of hard work on the back end, it's all worth it when we hear stories like this. And that's what fuels us. So thank you for sharing that. So let me ask you this, like, to the people that are listening right now that are maybe kind of struggling with the nutrition, like, what would you say, and this isn't a plug for what we do here at Vibe, but what would you say you would kind of just shoot their way, as far as based on what you've experienced thus far? Like, what would you tell that one person, or those, whoever's listening?
Well, I would definitely recommend the the plan and the program. I do. I recommend it. Because there's so many options and I haven't felt deprived at all since I've been using these meal plans or implemented them in my life in different ways. I have not felt deprived at all. And yeah, it does take a little bit of work. You do have to be consistent. And I feel that as long as I have the groceries in my refrigerator, I'll be able to accomplish it. So just making the grocery trip once a week, ensuring that I have what I need in my refrigerator, it's going to help me with my nutrition plan because If you don't have it, I mean, the first thing you're going to grab is whatever is available as soon as you're starving, or you don't have time and you didn't plan ahead. So you're going to go through the drive through, whatever's easier and available because you're hungry, And I love food. And that's one of the things. I mean, I didn't gain all the weight that in the past by not loving food. So being able to just enjoy food and still be healthy, I mean, what more can I ask for?
Right. Yeah, totally. I'm with you on that one. I love food as well. So I can totally agree with you on that. Let me ask you, when it comes to like when you combine them both, like you made the changes in your nutrition, you've made the consistency and then the process, the transformation in your fitness, your capability, like it's yielded you to the point now. Help us understand you've overcame that. Where are you at now in your overall health, your well-being, your mental state? Like, where are you at since you've made this process a part of your lifestyle?
So when I first started, I had so many limitations and I couldn't run. Right now I'm running 3 miles nonstop in one day. Um, just this week alone, I ran almost 8 miles, I think. And my health wise, the way I feel, the way I move is so much better. So I've met the goals that I set for myself when I first started this journey. I've met the goals, and obviously now I have new goals. And I'm proud of that because I just feel like at this point, what's next? What can I do? And there's always going to be something that I can do better for myself, but setting small, short term goals and meeting them, it's what's helping me continue. Had I think, had I started off with this extreme goal, like, oh, I need to be this by this point, I don't know that I would be where I'm at today. But staying consistent with my small, short-term goals and meeting them, I'm just ready for the next level.
Nice. I love that. And so let me ask you this, kind of going back to, the limitations you had before you started this transformation, like with, family events and stuff like that. Have you had to kind of put the brakes on, like, hey, going out hiking with the kids or anything like that, that maybe you wouldn't have been able to do before? Has that changed?
No, not anymore. Now my kids are trying to keep up with me. They're like, "Mom, relax. What are you doing?" No, I'm able to do all the things with my kids again.
So what has that done for your family? Like for you mentally, like what has that done for you?
It gives me the sense of pride because I also feel like I'm being a good example for my kids. I feel like your kids are always looking, whether they're little or they're grown, they look to see what you're doing. And implementing the nutrition part of it in my life, it's helping them because now that's what's in the refrigerator. And your kids eat what you provide. So what I'm making for dinner or what I'm making for breakfast, it's there and available. And I also feel proud that I'm providing more healthier options for my kids.
Mm. So in the grand scheme of things now, and now that you're, that as we all grow older, like, what do you feel that means for like you and your husband in regards to being, a better quality of life for you and the family and being there for the kids longer, long term?
Yes. Um, my son was getting to the point where he was like, "Mom, you need to take care of yourself. Mom, you need to do this different. You need to do that." Because he would see my struggles. Now it was to the point where it was visible to others, especially my immediate household here. And so them seeing where I'm at right now, it they're happy for me. I mean, they know that I've done this for my health and they know that hopefully, I'll be here for a very long time. And I think that's the only way you can ensure that, at least me, like I know that I'm not going to be 50. And I can only imagine, had I not done this change where I was at 39, I can only imagine what I would be like at 50. I mean, would I even be able to walk a short term or would not if I just left and kept doing what I was doing before?
Right. I got you. And so with that, as we kind of get, towards the end here, can you kind of share with everybody? Because, if you're listening, I think we all, no matter who we are, who it is, whether it's me, you, Bernice, we all are going to experience some shifts in life. Things are going to happen. They're going to come into our life that impede on what we're doing. So as we have this positive uptick of positivity, energy, we're consistent. Just something happens by nature that maybe has us, divert a little bit or slow down. Can you share where you're at right now in being able to overcome maybe obstacles that maybe enter your life unexpectedly, whether it be you experience a drop in energy and in your mental focus when it comes to your transformation, like when you have bad days, in other words, like how do you overcome those now? Like, help us understand that.
I just give myself a pep talk. I have had those days. I just had one of those days 2 weeks ago where especially I think as a woman, our bodies go through so many changes and in 1 month, and then there's that time of the month, I'm sorry if I'm oversharing here, but that's when we experience we feel a certain type of way, and I just have to know that, okay, I've been consistent this far. I'm not going to stop now. And even on the days where it feels tough, like, well, maybe I shouldn't go work out, or you know what? Forget it. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm just going to eat whatever I want. Like, I've had enough. It's those days where I need to be stronger to just keep going. And I do. If it's not my rest day and it's meant to be that I need to go work out and I need to go get up, then that's what I do. I
So
think it's
that,
just mental, just like, I mean, more like anything,
well, and I was going to ask you that too, like your mindset now, just based on all of the process you've been through for the last year or what have you, where do you think, what would your action be, before you started? Like, would you be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and stay on the couch, like, because I don't feel good? It was that kind of where you think your mindset would have been and what it led you to do action wise?
Oh, yes, my mindset is not where it was before. Yes, before it definitely would have been like, well, you already did work out 2 days this week. You deserve a rest. Or you worked out 3 days this week. You deserve a rest. You ate really healthy for the last 3 days. You can go ahead and binge eat today. It's no, that was my mind before.
Got you. That's for me mentally, like when I see people, their mindset shift and have a higher degree of standard expectations, and like for me, that's rewarding. Like I love hearing that. And you guys listening, like I'll be clear with you guys. Like I don't get excited about teaching people how to squat. That just is my responsibility. That's my commitment to teach people exercise to a certain extent. What I love, the transformation that I love seeing is the mindset, the shift in mindset, the standard, the higher standard, the expectation, the ability to overcome adversity, to not quit, not give up, to figure out alternative ways to navigate through obstacles. Like, and Berenice is a great example of that. And I love what you just shared, because again, it all comes down to mindset. And I always say, like, a lot of this transformation process, no matter what we go through in life, is all mental. Yes, there's some physical, sometimes things, we're not able to overcome things physically at that given moment, but we just have to find alternative ways. So, I love hearing your story, your progress. So as we kind of start wrapping things up here, let me just ask you this, like, in all, if you were able to sum up everything, and this is probably me being a little bit biased because it's Vibe, like, what would you say to someone who's listening that maybe doesn't understand how we operate at Vibe and why we do the things we do and why we coach the way we coach, and why we don't advocate on our marketing to get people drawn into us, like, hey, come in and we're going to help you lose weight. Like, we can say those things, but if you notice in our Instagram, we don't put a lot of that stuff out there. Do we say we can help you achieve some of those things? Yes, but that's not the forefront of our message. So if it's someone looking for like a lifestyle change, how can you kind of share a little bit about what you value about Vibe?
Yes. Well, I don't know. I guess you guys, the reason it's the whole you'll lose weight is not so important. It's because people need to make a whole lifestyle change, transformation in order to reach certain goals that they have. But with Vive, I love the support system because we all need support. We need the support because in the middle of certain workouts, you hit that tired button and you think, I'm going to stop. And I can assure you that if I'm by myself, I would probably stop. Okay, I've had enough. I'm going to stop. So the support system is undeniably very important there. Another thing is the nutrition. I've learned so much from Vive and the nutrition information that I've gathered here. It's long term. Like that's it. No one can take that knowledge away from me at this point. The other one is accountability because we sign up for the classes and other gyms are not going to be waiting for me. So I've signed up for this class and I feel like I need to be accountable for this. They're waiting for me and you guys are. You guys know your members by names, you know everyone. So it feels like, some sort of a community in there, and having that accountability, it helps. I know that I need to show up. So another thing is balance. So like we said earlier, knowing that you have to incorporate both some strength training and some conditioning training, that's super important. So I don't think the big gyms, they don't offer that. They don't.
And guys, you guys listening, whether you're a Vibe member or not, and the the transformation process, guys, the value is not in the workouts. I can tell you guys this. I've been doing this long enough to know this. We can give you guys the very basic workouts, right? We can give you guys the workouts. We can give you guys like the meal plans. We can do all of that. But the real value in a transformation, and Berenice just said it, it was in her mouth, coming out of her mouth. It was the accountability, it was the coaching, and it was the support. Now, why are these things important? They're important because if everybody had those things, then they would be healthier. We wouldn't have a 50% obesity rate in our country. We wouldn't have all these health issues. There would be a lot more healthier people walking around in our communities, guys. But the reason why we don't is not because we don't have enough gyms. There's plenty of gyms, guys. It's because it takes a lot more than just a treadmill. It takes a lot more than just a set of dumbbells or a squat rack. It takes a lot more than a meal plan to make a long-term transformation, guys. It takes a structure, it takes community, and it takes support. And the reason why is because we don't have a lot of those things in our personal inner circles, guys, in our households. And again, I'm speaking from experience on this with myself. I wasn't raised in a health conscious household, guys. I don't know, what was your case, Bernice? Were you raised in a health conscious household?
No, definitely not. And you go to a birthday party and they're trying to offer you a big piece of cake. And if you ask for half of it, they're laughing. Oh, she must be on a diet
Yeah,
because
so
you want.
that's my point is like, again, we need these things somewhere because we're not getting them. Most of us aren't getting them at our personal inner circle. And I'm not knocking that, right? I can't knock what is not known, right? So if we weren't raised with these principles, it leads us to get what we get with the principles that we are raised with. And until we make that decision to bring in new principles or new practices or new habit changes into our lifestyle that are more health conscious, we're going to continue to get what we got. But if we want more health conscious things in our life, then we're going to surround ourselves with a more health conscious community. We're going to surround ourselves with a support base of coaches and knowledge that will support what we want. And we're going to have some sense of accountability to make sure that we're doing. Why? Because it's so easy for us to give up on ourselves. If we have children, it's easy for us to say, hey, you can't quit. It's easy for us to say, hey, you're going to go and you're going to finish that. And then after that, you can stop going to that athletic event. But until then, you're not quitting. But when it comes down to us, it's so easy for us to say, hey, I'm not going to go today. Well, no one's looking. Nobody knows. It's just me that knows. So I'm giving up on myself. So that's the true value in a transformation, guys. And I know it doesn't sound sexy. It may sound cliche to some of you out there, but it's the truth. I'm telling you right now from experience, guys. So in wrapping up, Bernice, I just want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with everybody. Is there any last things that you would say to somebody listening right now who maybe is either at the beginning of their transformation or maybe they started, they're at a plateau, they're frustrated, they're stressed, they're doubting themselves right now? What would you say to these people that are listening?
One of the things I would say is just keep going. Don't let that plateau stop you. Whatever you've accomplished so far, it's been good. Keep going. And someone that's barely going to start, I say just give it a shot. Do that. Take that first step and stop telling yourself that what you can't do. Tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to try this. You can do it. And don't obsess over that scale.
Got you. Perfect. So I'm just going to fire away now as we come to the end. I just want to shoot some random questions off to you and just answer them. Just kind of fun. And they can be one word answers or however you answer them. Okay. So here we go. So your favorite non-healthy food?
Ice cream.
Got you. Your favorite movie?
Dirty Dancing.
Got you. Your favorite color?
Brown.
Brown. Got it. Your favorite exercise? One exercise.
Squats.
One funny thing people or that you would like to share that people don't know about you?
I'm not funny.
Okay, got you. And then the last one is what motivates you to take care of yourself?
My health.
Got you. All right, guys. So that's it for today. Berenice, thank you once again. And for you guys listening, please make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so, or share this with somebody that needs to hear it. And again, no matter where you're at in your journey, whether it's currently you're struggling or you're just getting started, or maybe down the line when you are struggling, maybe Berenice said something today that will ring a bell with you. So just take what you heard today, store it in the back of your mind if you don't need it today, but at that right time, hopefully it'll come into your mind. So until then, go out and attack your day, stay consistent, stay in the fight, guys. Much love.